Oscar Pastri's lead at the top of the championship now stands at 31 points over his McLaren teammate Lando Norris. But the way it happened at Monza left fans shaking their heads. What should have been a simple fight for second place behind Vstappen turned into a messy episode of pit stop blunders, radio debates, and team orders that no one really understood. The Australian ended up paying the price for a mistake that wasn't even his own. And the fallout could have bigger consequences for McLaren than anyone wants to admit. The race itself was another reminder of Verstappen's strength. After a year where McLaren has looked untouchable on most weekends, this time it was Red Bull's champion who walked away with it. He controlled the strategy, switched to the hards at the right moment, and left everyone behind, including both McLarens. His gap at the flag, more than 19 seconds, said everything. It was the Vstappen of 2023, the one who seemed unbeatable no matter what the opposition tried. But instead of talking about Vstappen's comeback drive, all eyes turned to the orange cars behind him. The chain reaction started with Norris leading Pastri, both trying to manage the threat of Ferrari. McLaren decided to stop Pastri first, a logical call given that he was under pressure. Norris followed a lap later, but his stop dragged on for nearly 6 seconds. A disaster at a track where tenths matter. That delay handed Pastri second place on track. At that point, the outcome should have been clear. Norris lost out because of the pit crew, not because of Pastri's timing, but that wasn't how McLaren saw it. Over the radio came the message to Pastri that he had to give the place back. His reply was sharp, a reminder that the team had always agreed slow pit stops were simply part of racing. Still, he yielded. The sight was painfully familiar. Only a year ago in Hungary, Norris was told to do the same thing, handing back a position to Pastri. And though he didn't like it, he obeyed. This time, it was Oscar's turn to be the sacrificial lamb. The problem is that moments like this don't just fade. Fans remember the media runs with it, and the drivers, even if they don't show it in front of the cameras, keep it stored away. A young driver like Pastri, who has been almost flawless this season, won't forget being forced to surrender a position because the pit wall panicked over fairness. What made it worse was Verstappen's reaction after the race. From my side, a bad pit stop can happen, the same way an engine can break, or if you make a mistake on your own. That is just part of racing. So, yeah, I had to laugh a little that he had to give the position back. I'll leave it there. He didn't hold back. Laughing that a bad stop is simply part of the game, the same as an engine failure or a driver mistake. He couldn't understand why McLaren would interfere in such a natural racing outcome. Coming from someone who has lived through enough inter-team fireworks at Red Bull in his early years, that statement carried weight. It was as if Vstappen was saying out loud what many fans were already thinking. McLaren had overmanaged the situation and made themselves look weak. The drivers, of course, tried to smooth things over. Norris insisted after the race that the team had agreed on this policy beforehand, and that if the roles were reversed, he would have been the one to move aside. His words sounded carefully measured, like someone trying to protect the bigger picture of the championship fight. But for many, it was a hollow defense. Norris may have recovered 3 points in the standings, but the way it happened only intensified the debate over whether McLaren is being too protective of their #1 driver at the expense of the other. Pastri's own comments revealed the frustration he tried to hide. We said that a slow pit stop was part of racing, so I don't really get what's changed here, but if you really want to do it, then I'll do it. He mentioned that he didn't really see the logic, but he complied because that was the order. There was no anger in his voice afterward, but the disappointment was there. Nico Rosberg, who knows more than anyone what it feels like to fight against a teammate inside a top team, pointed out on Sky that these are the moments that require serious internal talks. According to him, pit stops are part of racing luck, and using team orders to balance them out sets a dangerous precedent. He even warned that Pastri wouldn't let this go easily, no matter how calm he seemed in front of the microphones. The irony is that McLaren created this problem themselves. Their strategy last year in Hungary already opened the door to questions about favoritism. And by repeating a similar call at Monza, they turned a one-off into a pattern. Fans now see a team that keeps stepping into these awkward situations and only fueling speculation. Even Jamie Chadwick on the same broadcast admitted McLaren brought the headache on themselves. Once it happens twice, it becomes a talking point. And once it's a talking point, it becomes pressure on the team. All of this overshadowed what was otherwise a strong drive from Norris. His launch at the start, nearly snatching the lead from Vstappen, showed how confident he is right now. For a brief moment, he was alongside, even forcing Vstappen across the grass, only to see the Red Bull cut the chicane and retake the lead. The FIA quickly stepped in, asking Vstappen to give the place back, which he did. But it didn't take long before the champion responded, sweeping past Norris again by lap 4 and never looking back. Norris gave everything, but it wasn't enough, and even he admitted afterward that Red Bull simply had too much speed. That's what makes McLaren's decision all the more frustrating. Instead of letting the two drivers fight fairly for the scraps behind Vstappen, the pit wall forced itself into the story. Instead of celebrating a double podium, they walked away answering questions about internal fairness, favoritism, and whether Pastri is being undervalued. It's the kind of noise that can destabilize a team, especially one fighting for a championship where every point matters. Norris may be content for now, but history shows that teammates rarely stay aligned for long when titles are on the line. Pastri is young, ambitious, and already carrying himself like a future champion. Taking orders that rob him of second place won't sit well, and if these situations keep repeating, the harmony McLaren has enjoyed could start to fracture. And when that happens, no team order in the world can patch it up. The wider question now is what Formula One should do with team orders in general. Some outlets are already pushing for a rethink, asking if they should be banned outright, but that would only create another layer of controversy, because in truth, every team uses them when the stakes are high. Fans may hate seeing them, but the teams argue they are necessary to manage championship bites. The problem comes when the justification feels flimsy, as it did at Monza. When a slow pit stop is treated as something that has to be corrected by swapping positions, it starts to look less like strategy and more like manipulation. As the season heads into its final stretch, these 3 points may not look decisive, but in a championship battle this close, they can be the difference between a hero and a runner-up. Norris has momentum, Pastri has the lead, and Vstappen has shown he is still capable of ruining both their weekends when the car clicks. Monza should have been remembered for Verstappen's return to dominance. Instead, it will be remembered for McLaren's awkward radio call that could echo far longer than the race itself. And maybe that's the biggest irony of all. The team trying so hard to keep harmony may have just planted the seed of future tension. Because once you start asking drivers to give up what they earned on track, you risk something far more damaging than a slow pit stop. You risk trust. And in Formula One, trust is harder to rebuild than any car on the grid. After the race, Motorsports shared a post on X asking a question whether or not team orders should be banned. What do you think? Let us know in the comments down below.